it's going to be a new habit that you're going to love forever. I was like, all right, cool. All right. We're
Hello,
live.
everybody. Hello, everybody, and welcome, noodlers. This is the Wholesale Real Estate Investing by SAHA, number 208 today on this negotiation new up day. What is this? This is this is January 4th of 2016. This is our very first hangout of the new year. And, you know, we talked about an outline to get yourself prepared for the new year as far as having a set sort of plan for your business. We had a 3-day crash course here over the past 3 days. I hope you guys did it. Hope you guys have your plan, but I'm not going to ask you to pull it out today because today is negotiation new op day, and that's the day that we talk about Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People, because that is just as important as having a business plan outlined for your business. But we'll get back into that on Wednesday and Friday of this week, of this session. So just wanted to remind you about that. Maybe if you slacked off a little bit, you can, do that second or third page that you sort of, did the first one, got all excited about what I'm going to want in 3 years from now, but then didn't follow through. You got a couple more days. Yeah. We're going to give you some slack here. Got a couple more days to go back there and look at the 1-year plan, look at the 30, 60, 90-day plan. Hey, and for those of you who did the whole thing, look at your 30, 60, 90-day plan now, and now take your 30-day plan and over the next few days, break that down into a weekly schedule or even a daily schedule. However you want, break it right down to where you're going to be with it. So with that, anybody, I'm Paul Romero, and I'm hanging out here from South Lake Tahoe, California on a beautiful snowy, wintry day up here. And we're not going to have any snow today, which is nice for a change. Had quite a bit of it. I've been here for a couple of weeks, had grass on the lawn when I got here, and about 8 days later had 4 feet of snow on the lawn. So it was a lot of shoveling and fun, and I've had enough of it already. With that, who are you? Where are you hanging out from? Let us know. Use your little comment box up here. Tell us, tell us your name and where you're hanging out from. And John is with us here today. So, John, where are you hanging out from?
Hey, Paul. Hey, hangout people. I'm hanging out from beautiful Phoenix, Arizona. It's a little bit of a rainy, overcast morning, but hey, you know what? I can't complain. It's a beautiful, beautiful start to the day. Paul and I had jumped into this hangout right mid-conversation, and I think I babbled on a few minutes here for a few seconds there while we were live, but we were actually having a really good conversation, which I'll bring up because it kind of plays into what Paul basically laid out there, which we're really not going to get into today about, hey, you know what we're going to be getting into moving forward is putting together a vision, 3-year goal, 3-year big vision plan, breaking that down to the 1 year, where do I need to be to get to my 3-year, so forth and so on, scaling it back down to what I do the next 90, 60, 30, down to what do I do on a daily basis. And we're going to be breaking down that system here. And that's kind of what Paul and I were even discussing. I was sharing a personal thing with Paul here right before the hangout about
part of one of the 5 categories, the physical side.
Yep, talking about the physical side, one of the 5 categories. And I met with a trainer on Saturday and looking at his kind of plan and his kind of goal. He's got kind of a 90-day workout trial, if you will, that you have to stick to. And what I liked about what he said that I'm throwing into this conversation before we get into how to win friends and influence people, because it is new op day, is that, you know what, over the next 4 to 6 weeks, I'm going to be in a lot of pain, suffering, because I'm starting a new habit, or I'm starting something new subconsciously, consciously. As human beings, whenever we start something new, we become very excited about it, very enthusiastic, and we tend to stick to it for an average of 4 to 6 weeks. And then at that point, you're even if you don't consciously realize this, you're subconsciously rejecting the new thing. You're hating it. You're figuring out every excuse about your body being sore and all that. And then you're going to hate your life for the next 4 to 6 weeks. But if you can make it through 90 days, and this goes for more than just this physical thing that I'm talking about, if you can make it those 90 days, you will have created a new habit that'll change and make you a better person for the remainder of your life. So think about those things, and we'll get more into that 3-year, 1-year, 90, 60, 30-day plan here in the upcoming Hangouts. But great way to kind of intro it. It is a new year, so what are some of your goals? Great things for us to start thinking about. And I'm going to toss it back over to Paul, kind of lead us back into where we left off on the last New Op Hangout.
Yeah, well, since we are in a new year and we've sort of had a little bit of a, probably some people have slacked off. This is the end of the year, the holidays, everything. That's a time of year for people to slack off as well too. And things that you've got started, momentum you had and everything like that in whatever area of your life is often a time to let things go and forget about things and get lazy and not do what you need to do. So many people probably didn't do what they need to do as far as reading and keeping up with the book. So I just want to do a quick recap here and kind of go through, what the book is and how it starts out and what the chapters are here. It starts off with how this book was written and why. It's really important to kind of understand, why the book was written in the first place and how it was written. And it's a good idea to get that information in there. And then he talks about 9 suggestions on how to get the most out of this book. So, here he's given you an instruction manual for how to use the information in this book. Really important. It's powerful information to, use this information the right way, to study this information, because this just isn't a book. This isn't something you just read once and, you're done. It's not like you read it once and you know it. This is a study manual. This is a course, and it's kind of like your body. You need to be feeding your body constantly, right? If you don't feed your body, it's going to die. It's just like your brain is the same way. If you don't keep feeding your brain, it's going to die. And it's not like you could just say, oh well, because you would ask people, hey, you ever read How to Win Friends and Influence People? And they'll be like, oh yeah, I read that book once. Yeah, when did you read it? Oh, I don't know, about 15 years ago I read that book. Yeah. Well, tell them this. Tell them, you know what? You got to go read it again because they rewrote the whole book. Oh, really? and and sure enough, if you can get anybody to do that, they'll go read the book and they'll be like, wow, yeah, that's totally different. That's a whole new different book. You'll be like, no, they didn't rewrite the whole book, dude. You're different. So that's why it's important to use the book the right way and to constantly be reading these things and going back over this material. So anyway, part 1 of the book is the fundamental techniques in handling people. And the fundamental techniques, the 3 fundamental techniques, I'm just going to skip through the 3 chapters here and go right to what the 3 fundamental techniques are, because this is really the basics of your success in how to deal with people, how to handle people, how to be successful and win friends and influence people. And that really is the 3 I stopped one short. Got to flip a few more pages here, sorry about that. The 3 pieces are, don't criticize, condemn, or complain, give honest and sincere appreciation, and arouse in the other person an eager want. If you can just do those 3 things within people, if you can just study these 3 chapters here and get good at doing just those 3 things, that'll change your entire world.
Absolutely. And there's actually 3 simple concepts. You might hear Paul and I say, okay, fundamental techniques dealing with people. Number 1, don't criticize, condemn, or complain. Number 2, give honest and sincere appreciation. Number 3, arouse in the other person an eager want. Yet it takes 50 pages of the book to explain those 3 concepts. And the reason why is you don't know what you don't know, and you don't know what you think you know unless you actually are out there doing it and applying these things. And this book, one of the things that Paul mentioned in that first preface to the book is, how this book was written and why. That's followed by another section, which is very important, which is about how to use this book. And how to use this book is to take those 3 principles and be consciously aware. If you're actually incorporating these into your dealings with people on a daily basis, especially if you're in business or you're an employer, or if you're in management and you're dealing with employees. So many times when somebody does something or makes a mistake, we tend to criticize them, condemn them, or complain about what they just screwed up. And that really doesn't foster a positive response on a conscious and even, especially more importantly, on a subconscious level with that person. Think about how you talk to people. Think about how you talk to your kids. This book requires that you stay consciously aware of your actions so you can implement these fundamental techniques. And it's even suggested in how to use this book is to kind of journal and challenge yourself and come back and think about how you dealt with people throughout the day. And did I apply these 3 principles? And, this much of the book, 50 pages, it's one of the key elements to moving forward through these books is these basic concepts. And I'll repeat them one more time before I toss it back over to Paul. Is
before you move on to number 2, let's touch on these just a little bit here.
Okay, excellent.
Why is it important not to criticize, condemn, or complain? Well, you know what? Criticizing, condemning, and complaining, it does inspire people, but it inspires people to resentment. Those 3 things inspire people to resent you. So if you don't criticize, condemn, or complain, well, you're not turning people against you. So that's the first step in how to win friends and influence people, is to not turn them against you first thing. Okay, so at least now they may not be on your side, but at least they're not against you at this point in time, right?
Absolutely. I'm glad I'm just taking a quick note here, Paul. Sorry about that. You know what? We should touch on these a little bit because it is a new year. We have a long ways to go in this book, so we want to continue moving forward. But these 3 principles are kind of the cornerstone to progressing through this book. So number 2 is give honest and sincere appreciation. There's a whole chapter devoted about what this means. But what this means is that when you're talking with people, when you're negotiating with people, when you're trying to get someone to do what it is you want them to do, and you're trying to close a sale or whatever you're trying to transact in a belly-to-belly or through email or text message, phone call, however you like to do business, is if you're going to give people compliments, be sincere and honest, because people can kind of read through bullshit, and it can be a little off-putting if you're giving someone a compliment that feels phony and feels fake. Another way you give honest and sincere appreciation to a person is not just by complimenting something about their appearance or the way they do business, but you can show that honest and sincere appreciation by simply listening to somebody for real and listening to what they have to say, absorbing it in, asking them questions about the topic or the concern or the problem they're having, so to continue the conversation moving forward and making it about them. But you're doing it in a way that's sincere, and it comes off that way, that you're actually listening and you're not just waiting your turn to share your story. It's about that interaction. So the honest and sincere appreciation isn't just, like I said, just about giving a compliment. It's also about listening to people. Anything you want to throw in on that before restating the 3rd principle?
Well, I'm going to couple 1 and 2 together, because let's see. Okay, so first of all, the thing you don't want to do is don't criticize, condemn, or complain. Don't inspire resentment. Don't turn people against you right from the start. Second thing, by giving honest and sincere appreciation, you're making them feel good. Okay, so if they feel good, if you make somebody feel good, that's going to inspire them towards more liking you than it is to resenting you. So first of all, you don't turn them away by causing resentment, and then secondarily, you attract them to be interested in you because you make them feel good. And then the 3rd principle is to arouse in the other person an eager want. And this one is if you make people feel important, they'll want what it is that you are presenting.
Absolutely. I'm just thinking about these three techniques. And for those of you who are in this hangout that are part of our Property Noodler team, kind of know Paul and I's core philosophy about doing business with sellers of homes. Let's break it down. What are we here for? This is a wholesale real estate training. Don't criticize, condemn, complain. You go into a conversation with someone that has an issue and they have a need to sell a distressed property for whatever reason. You're not going to go in there and condemn them or criticize them for being in a poor financial situation. You're going to go in there and introduce yourself. You're going to go in there and introduce the problem. You're going to go in there and you don't want to start the conversation by hurting these people. You actually want to do step two, the honest and sincere appreciation. You're going to encourage them to lead to number three, which is to give. You want to encourage these people to give. What are they giving? Giving you their trust. They're giving you a contract to purchase their home in an exchange for our service. But why are they doing that? Is because of our ability to arouse in the person the eager want. And sometimes in wholesale real estate, when you're talking with a seller who has an emotional attachment to a property, you have to arouse that motivation within that seller to realize the situation they're in. But you got to do it in a way that doesn't criticize or condemn them, but actually encourages them to sell the house. And then that encouragement, showing them the situation they're in, that arouses the want. So I mean, this is core to wholesaling.
Oh yeah, this is, you know what, this doubles your output as far as the number of deals you get, because like John just said, he touched on a key point there. You're talking about that guy who's got, all the motivating factors are there, that, there's absolutely no reason why this person shouldn't be chomping at the bit to get rid of this property, right? And yet they don't want to. There's some emotional attachment or whatever the case might be that they just don't, or they just don't want to be doing anything and getting rid of this property. And the next thing you know, maybe they lose it, or it gets vandalized, or whatever happens, whatever the case is. But so sometimes you have to actually be able to arouse that eager want in what you have to offer and how you can bring a solution to the table, so to speak, in more than just the fact of yeah, I want to buy your house and I'll pay you cash and I can close quickly and that's it, and here's my offer and shut up and take it or leave it. You can take this a whole lot further by arousing in them, by offering them really nothing but what sounds wonderful. You can offer all kinds of things that sound wonderful to people. I mean, even just the slightest little bit of help of not being able to we'll bring all the you don't have to do anything. We'll bring all the documentation to you. That just might be the one key factor right there. That's oh, it sounds like such a hassle. I don't want to deal with it. Don't worry about it. We'll deal with all that. I mean, just simple little things like that to arouse in that person an eager want by satisfying all of their doubts and questions as far as how it's all going to, what they have to do, what's involved, whatever it is, but you satisfying all that and making them feel at ease. And in a way that you're just not telling them what it is, but in a way that, it also feels like to them that, they've made this decision. They've come up with this idea. That's the real tricky little nuance to arousing, an eager want, is by arousing that desire within the person, so it feels to them, they feel important. The second one, the give honest and appreciation. They feel important in the fact that they've played a role in the decision making here. You didn't just tell them this is what you have to do. They were actually able to play a role in the decision making, and it feels like they came up with some of the ideas here. And now they want to do it because it's their idea, not you forcing it down their throat.
Absolutely. That's some awesome little nuggets of wisdom there in dealing specifically with the motivated sellers. Because I mean, it's very important that you not only attract them to calling you, however you're doing it out there. You're doing letters, door knocks, bandit signs, calls, however you're getting in touch with your motivated sellers, but understanding that how important that is, that you make them feel important, and it's can frame things in a way that gets people to do what you want by making them feel like it's what they wanted in the first place. I mean, that's key to so many other things other than wholesale real estate. But so those, in a nutshell, are the three fundamental techniques in handling people. Those three principles right there. And that's part one of the book. And then part two of the book is properly titled 6 Ways to Make People Like You. So Can you guess what this next section of the book is, the next 6 chapters? The 6 ways to get people to like you. So the first chapter within this part 2 section is entitled Do This and You'll Be Welcome Anywhere. And if I'm not mistaken, I don't think I'm out of order, but is this the one that has to do with smiling? Oh, no. Do this and you'll be welcome anywhere. And this principle is become genuinely interested in other people. Why don't you touch on that a little bit, Paul?
Well, that kind of goes back to what you were saying about the first piece of the second piece of giving honest and sincere appreciation is by, becoming genuinely interested in another person, which you're talking about there, and actually listening to that other person, where you're hearing what they're saying in such a manner that you can actually respond to their comments in a way that, is giving them that honest and sincere appreciation, just by you responding to them in a way that it makes that they hear that, oh my God, this guy actually listened to what I said. This guy actually heard what I was saying, because he's wanting to hear more about it, or he's, he made a very pertinent comment that applies to exactly what I was just saying there. I'm getting the feeling that this guy is actually listening to me, that this guy actually cares. I think I'm kind of starting to like this guy. So that's kind of where it all boils down to right there. And so, the 6 ways to make people like you. This whole chapter right here is like some 6 sort of specific techniques that you can actually apply towards working into the 3 main principles of how to deal with people. And like I said, this giving honest and sincere appreciation comes out of being genuinely interested in other people, because you can't sit there and let them babble on, and then when they get done talking about their dog, you say, well, does the heater work? They'll be like, this guy doesn't give a crap about me. You have to be listening, and you have to be paying attention, and you have to be carrying on a conversation that's pertinent to them, not what you want. You want to buy the house, but if you switch their conversation over to what you want, done, man, out the door, next. Ain't selling to you, Jack.
So true. My kind of theory, or it's not even a theory. What would it be? My law, I guess, or my approach is, when I meet with a seller, and those on my team know this, when they set an appointment for me, I have in my mind that I want to be in and out of the house, in and out of that meeting with the seller in 1 hour. And in that 1 hour, if I spend more than 15 minutes talking about the property I want to buy, for lack of a better term, I fucked up, because because it's about the property, yes, but I'm interested in them. I'm interested in their problem. I'm interested in their accomplishments. I'm interested in their reason for wanting to sell. And I'm interested in their career, their dogs, their home remodel, whatever they've got going on in their life. I'm interested in that, in addition to the real estate. And I show more interest in everything besides the real estate, because that makes them feel important. It makes them feel good. It makes them feel that I'm someone they can trust, open up to, and that in itself arouses their want to sell the property to me, to be honest with me, to let me know more about what they need out of this property, so to speak, rather than just going in there, spending 15 minutes talking about the property, creating no bond or trust factor or personable interaction there. And you know what? We've had people, here's a little insider tip, if you will. Just because a property is vacant and an absentee owner lives in another part of town and is leaving that property to rot, I'll tell you the truth, 90% of the time, they're not interested in selling the property. They're just sitting on it, and there's a multitude of reasons which I could get into on another hangout because it fascinates me, the people we deal with. But it doesn't necessarily mean that they are motivated in any way, shape, or form to sell the property. I would say the ratio is for every 20 sellers we talk to that own a vacant property, we might get 3 to 5 of them that actually want to sell to us when we get to when they an initial contact. Usually what happens is we have to build a little long-term relationship with these people, do follow up, build a rapport, and when they finally reach the conclusion that they need to sell this property, then they remember the people that showed a concern and interest in them, and when they go to sell, they're coming back to us. That's that. I mean, I can't say much more than that. It's about making those people feel important, and that's my kind of system and my strategy. My way I deal with people is I make it about them, and I sneak in the stuff about the property. I pepper the conversation, and I ultimately bring it back in an appropriate way to the discussion about the property. But I'm building a relationship with them outside of what I want.
And that's how you turn 3 to 5 out of 20 into 10 to 12 out of 20. And you always hear about building rapport. It's so important that you go in there and you got to build rapport, right? Everybody tells you got to go out and build rapport, but nobody tells you how to build rapport. Well, this is how you build rapport. Become genuinely interested in the other person, and that's all there is to it. So the second chapter here, moving on. Before you get into that one,
I learned this from a network marketing company that I worked with a while back, and they use something called Form. It's a simple system for showing genuine interest in people and how to get people talking. What do people like doing? Talking about themselves to feel important. So you're going to need to ask them questions to open them up. And there's something called Form, and it's FORM. And the F, these are just an acronym to remember things you can talk to people about, and that's number 1. F is family. O is occupation. What do they do? R and M, I can't remember. Do you know Form, Paul?
Religion.
I doubt that. Religion and politics are the worst things to talk about.
Yeah, I know. I wouldn't think that would be there. But family, occupation, recreation.
Yes, you're right. What they like to do for recreation. And M is shoot. But what I'm getting at is there's a system and there's ways, there's books. You could study about how to ask people questions, make people. And that's just a simple one. Is maybe Google Form for working with people. But, you talk about family, occupation, recreation, and I forget what the M is. But, okay, moving on.
Is it money, the lack thereof? No, it's not.
In wholesale real estate, that's would be that's perfect. Form for wholesale real estate. Talk about their family, their occupation, what they like to do, recreation, and ultimately talk about the money they're going to get from the sale of the real estate. Yeah, so that does work here in this
right.
setting.
It's not the official form, but that's the wholesale form.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like you were talking about there too, you say you have you go into a seller meeting with a 1 hour sort of guideline that you're looking to stay within, and that if you spend more than 15 minutes talking about the house, that you've blown it. And especially if that 15 minutes wasn't the final 15 minutes, and you've really blown it. So with that, moving on to the next chapter here is a simple way to make a good first impression. And everybody's always heard, first impressions are everything. you know, and they really are. People, you know, people draw up in their minds who you are from the second they see you. They've already formed an opinion about you, whether a word has come out of your mouth or not. So a simple way to make a good first impression, this is one that John alluded to in the first place there, is simply this: smile. That's it. You know, I mean, a smile says three things. Okay. A smile says, I like you, you make me happy, and I'm glad to see you. All right. That's it right there. I like you, you make me happy, and I'm glad to see you. That's why I'm smiling here. All right. If people see you smiling, they're going to be more attracted to you from the very beginning than if you walk up, you know, with this glum face and go straight into talking about their house. If you're smiling and you start talking about them, bam, you've made such a big difference right there.
Absolutely. And it also, you know, everything, in my opinion, and the opinions of lots of entrepreneurs, is that everything is energy. So relationships, what's your energy level? You know, if I'm going to go sit down for my 1 hour conversation with that seller with a frown on my face or just blank face staring, no emotion, it's going to make them feel uncomfortable. You know, to go in there smiling and bring some joy to the situation, because if these people are wanting to or needing to sell, they've got something bad going on for the most part, and I need to make them feel good with the situation and feel good about moving forward with me and show them the light at the end of the tunnel. And how am I going to portray that message or create that energy in that environment if I'm not smiling, you know, putting a smile on my face? Because that the act of smiling and I mean, it's a chapter in a book. You know, oh, that's simple, but there's psychology behind it, which if you truly understand, you can make that smile more powerful, because it's got to be, like everything in this book, it's got to be genuine.
Why it's a chapter in the book is because it sounds so stupid and simple, but I challenge you today to go out and make sure that every person that you speak to today, you're smiling while you do it. And you know what? It's not easy. And you'll find yourself in the middle of the conversation realizing that you're not smiling anymore. So you want to see why it's a chapter in the book. Take that challenge, go out today and try to smile to everybody that you're talking to the whole time that you're talking to them. And I'll bet you can't do it. All right. With that, we're running out of time here. So I'm just going to lead into the final chapter here where we've left off, what we're going to be picking up on next New Op Day. And that is chapter 3 in part 2. And this one is called, if you don't do this, you are headed for trouble. And I'm not going to tell you what that is, because you know what? We're going to save that for next New Op Day so you can be surprised. You know what? You want to know what that is? Go get the book if you don't have it. If you have it, read the chapter, and you'll be caught up and you'll be ahead and you'll be able to keep up with this next session. So with that, guys, that's a recap of where we've gotten so far in this book. We're not very far. In fact, where are we at? We're at page... what page are we on? Where's my chapter here? I'm
on page 75, but I don't know if our books.
Yeah, we're actually on page 79 going into chapter 3 here. So
79 in Paul's book, 75 in mine.
Right.
So in there around.
Okay. Cool. All right. So we're somewhere in the
70s,
in the latter 70s here, depending on which version you're reading. But you know, that's not very far. I mean, that's a lot more than 70, 80 pages right there. So we've got a long way to go, like John said in the beginning. Very powerful and important information. I hope that you've seen the way that we've applied this information to wholesale real estate business today, and why this is such important and powerful information to learn and to have into you being successful in this business. And with that, John, why don't you finish us up here and take us out?
O universe, I ask not for more riches, but for more wisdom with which to make better use of the riches given to me at birth through the power to control my own mind, to use this book to achieve my desires. If you desire to help people, applying this knowledge with this gift, you'll get to the promised land. So with that, we'll see you all back here on Wisdom Wednesday.
All right.